Good morning, friends, and welcome back. I am Patty Elhoff, the author of Upcycle with Decoupage. And today I would like to show you how you can take these plain old toilet paper holders, the cardboard piece that comes inside of the toilet paper rolls, and turn them into these faux candles using real wax, some napkins, some paint, and those fake LED candles that we'll put in the top. So here's how I made these. Since I wanted these to have a more realistic look on the top, I tore off just over the top piece an uneven edge. You don't have to do this. You may want to try one without this torn edge and one with it, just to see what you prefer, so that the top now looks uneven like this. I'll show you a completed one that I did without the torn edge at the top. At first I tried to spray paint these because I knew that would be easier and faster, but I did learn that the spray paint wasn't thick enough. It not only didn't cover the ridges in the roll, but it also fell apart with the hot wax. So I decided to use chalk paint, and you want to use the lightest color possible. This is the Home Decor chalk paint, which I sell right on my website. The link is down below. And I used a sponge to just pounce this paint all over, and as you'll notice, this is not a toilet paper roll, this is a paper towel roll. This works on any kind of roll you have, and this is the one where I didn't tear the top. I'm just going to leave it flat so you can see how this looks when I'm done also. You can also use a roller on these. I took the chalk paint and just used a small roller to paint them. Now, I want you to notice in the background here, I have a Ranger melting pot, and I think these have been discontinued as of now. I looked on my Amazon page in order to add the link over to my page, but I only saw one selling on the whole site of Amazon with free shipping anyway. So what I would suggest is that you use a double boiler. You may even have the candle making supplies in your home. Basically, you're going to need the wax, and I'm using a chip brush here. Now I'm just melting this wax. I even have some old candles that I don't use anymore that I just put in there, and they just melted right away, and I took the wick out. I am going to show you what I mean by a candle melting container though. This is the candle melting pot. This is a 4-pound capacity, and there's a 2-pound capacity. I'll have them both on my website. This has to go inside of another pot, like a junk pot with a little water in it, over an electric stove. And you can get one of these burners on my website if you don't have an electric stove. You can follow all of these same instructions. So what I did here was I took the toilet paper roll, or any of these rolls that I'm working on, and I kept coating it with the melted wax. I put about 8 coats of this wax on here. So I painted it on here. Now, of course, this brush is something that I use strictly for wax. And as I finished a couple of coats on one of these rolls, I would put it aside and then pick up another roll and start to add some layers of wax to that. And you'll notice I'm taking the brush and going around the top. I want to make sure that I get wax all around this top area here also. And ideally, there shouldn't be any creases or folds in these rolls like I have there. If you can find a hair curler that will fit inside of here that's just about the right size, that will keep it nice and firm. And here is how one of the rolls looks after I put about 8 coats of the wax on here. And I mentioned before that I didn't like the spray paint. Here is where the wax caused the spray paint to chip off. So every candle is going to have a back part where the napkins will meet, and it's not the most attractive part. So I'm just going to turn this into the back of my napkin. But that's why I don't suggest you use the spray paint. Rather, go with the chalk paint as the base coat over these wrapping paper rolls or toilet paper rolls or paper towel rolls. In order to film this, I am holding this in a horizontal manner, but you really should keep it vertical so that the wax drips towards the bottom. That will make it much more realistic looking, and you should be melting the drips away with each additional coat. As you put a new coat of wax on, it will get rid of the drips, it'll melt them, but it still will go down to the bottom. You want these to be bottom heavy. Now what you want to do is take your napkins, and I'm using a few different napkin patterns, and tear off a piece that's a little larger than the size of the roll that you're using, and separate your napkin so that you're only left with the top ply. And now what we're going to do is take a craft iron and we're going to melt this napkin over the wax. The craft iron causes the wax to melt and come through the surface a little bit, and it's almost like you're decoupaging with wax. You want to try to pull the paper a little tight without tearing it. And be careful with, my fingers were a little close to this iron, but you want to be careful and iron down one section at a time and continue to do this over the whole roll. So I'll just speed this up a little bit here, and you can see how I'm working in sections at a time. And there's another way to do this, which I will show you in the next clip. But for here, and I'm just covering half of this roll for now, I'm just going to iron this napkin down, melt it over this surface. Or if you'd like, I'm now taking, this is a different napkin, and I'm working on one of the toilet paper rolls, and I'm separating the napkin. And again, I'm just using the top layer of the napkin, and I'm going to wrap it around one of the rolls that has all of those layers of wax on it. And instead of using a craft iron, I'm going back to this melting pot with my brush, and I'm going to add additional coats of wax over the napkin. This gives a different look. The image isn't as clear, but it's very dreamy and pretty, and it really looks like you've got an authentic candle there. I kind of preferred this method myself, but my husband really liked the way the other ones looked. So there are two different looks here. You can experiment and see which one you like. And you see, as I am painting the wax on, it melts the paper to the wax underneath. And this is one of the reasons why you want to make sure you're using a light colored wax, preferably an off-white or a white. And this wax also dries pretty quickly. Just burnt myself there. You want to be careful with that. The wax is naturally very hot. And as I am going around to this other side, I will tear off the excess because the wax is going to keep this napkin in place where you want it, and you can just tear off the excess on the outside here. And I only used about 2 layers of the wax for this part. Now when you're done, you can take the excess at the top, and you can tear a lot of it away, but you do want to fold a little bit over, and you can take your craft iron and melt that top wax. Remember, we put some wax around the top there. Melt this so that you don't just have a raw edge up there. Or if you'd like, you can go back to using the brush and put the brush all around the inside, but you still want to keep a little bit of the excess napkin up at the top to overlap. So here I'm just taking the wax and I'm brushing that down inside there. And you can do either one of these methods. They both work well. It's all preferential, but I do suggest that you overlap that napkin in there. And this is the roll where I painted the wax on the outside, and here's where I tore off the excess and just for the sake of continuity, I'm going to use the brush. I'm going to put a layer over the area where I just tore the paper away. And I'm then going to go all around the inside rim on the top to overlap the napkin. Then I will add one more layer of wax all around the outside of the napkin. And when I was done, I lit a real candle and I dripped it all around the top rim so that it would look like this candle had been burning and melted, and there's some dripping wax down along the sides. Now here's how our candles, our faux candles, look so far. And you can see the one in the center is the one where I painted the whole thing on with wax. I did not use the craft iron. And the other two where I did use the craft iron, you can also see where I added drips over the surface. So the images are a little bit more clear on the two, like this one where I used the craft iron. But the one in the middle, to me, it just seems so much dreamier and prettier. So I actually prefer not using the craft iron and just using the, just keep painting the wax over it method. And that's only about 1 or 2 coats of wax over top of the napkin. Now let's add a couple of faux candles inside of here. Now in order to get these faux LED candles to sit down inside of here, I took another toilet paper roll and I just cut it up so that I could kind of roll it up and put it inside of here and let the candle sit on the top of it. And you may have to work with the height a little bit. You don't want the candle to be exposed. Don't want to see the white part of the candle, but you do want to see that faux flame. And here is how they look now that they're all complete. This one in the front here, of course, is the one where I painted the wax over the whole surface. Here is one of the other ones. You gotta be careful, those bottom parts fall out. Here's one of the other ones where I used the craft iron technique and dripped some wax along the outside of it once I was done, just like I did with this one. And I will show you how these look with the lights a little bit lower. I've got a very stark light on these right now. And here they are in a little bit lower light. It's still not nighttime, but you can get a better idea this way. So this was one of the most satisfying projects. I love that I had all of these supplies on hand, and you don't have to worry if you forget to blow the candles out that you left the LED. These are little battery lit candles. You can also, by the way, purchase one of these and put whatever type of a bulb that you like in it. They make fall colors, Christmas colors, or just the regular clear bulbs. And they don't get very hot because there's a rubber coating over them. You just stuff it inside the tube. And this was a Christmas one that I made. It's a lot taller. If you were planning on using one of these with a cord, you would need to make sure that before you start the project, you cut a tiny little hole in the bottom that's just big enough for the cord to come through. Otherwise, you're not going to have a secure base. It's going to wobble. And here's how this looks up at the top. So thank you so much, my friends, for all of your lovely comments. I try to get back to you as soon as I can. Upcycle with Decoupage is also on Facebook. If you go over and like and follow the page, you'll be notified every week when I put a new video out. And thank you for subscribing. It's a huge help to me. Some of you, I noticed, have been pinning, putting my videos on Pinterest or Instagram or Twitter, Facebook, sharing it wherever you want. It's perfectly fine by me. It's a big help to me. And the website goes through Amazon, but it helps me to keep making these videos when you go through my site to make your purchases. And as always, feel free to ask me any questions. I take about a week to get back to you, so I'm sorry about that, but I do get back to you within the week. Thank you so much, you guys. I will see you next week with another video. Bye-bye.